Welcome to Jeff and Jamie Feed. We are live from Growler's Poorhouse in Noda, one of my favorite spots in the world.
I know it is.
It is.
And you've got an exciting topic for us to talk about today.
We're going to have fun today talking about what typical people wouldn't consider a fun topic, but we do. Goals.
Goals.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. It's very close to the end of the year. We're looking forward to 2026, and goal setting is a big part of what we do, not just for ourselves, but of course for our business. And it helps kind of set the stage for what you're trying to move into.
I think we're both huge believers in making sure that you set goals. I remember in business school, I had a professor that was adamant that you had to do goals, and he even took time to do personal meetings with you and explained that this is what the data showed that high achievers and high wealth individuals did was they did goals, and they set goals yearly. And the big thing was that they wrote them down.
Okay, so actually pen to paper.
Yep, that was kind of the differentiators, not just having goals, but to actually write them down. And
I love it. You know that I'm a big believer in goals. We've laughed because in the past sometimes we'll have like a family goal setting meeting, and that might sound very strange, but really a goal setting is about having intention and moving into the future with a plan of where you want to go. It doesn't mean that you're going to get there and achieve everything that you've set out. But if you have that plan, if you have an intention of going somewhere and you really want that thing, you just start moving toward it. But if you're kind of willy-nilly about life and kind of go with the flow, that's fine. But don't.
Were you talking to me there?
I'm talking to you. Yes. Don't expect to get where you're hoping to go if you're not intentional about it,
For sure. And I think there's lots of ways to go about goals too. I think we go about them very differently.
Yeah.
You are very vision board oriented and dreamy, and I want to hit this sales number. And
yeah. So looking at our businesses, we had a number of goals this year. Do you want to talk about some of those from 2025 that were important to us to try to hit?
Yeah, we have a few things that are just pretty standard for us every year, where we're trying to hit 10% profit at all of our places all the time. And that is actually accounted for every week. So we try to stay on that, but we try to, we look at the big picture and do that yearly.
Yeah, and it's keeping those metrics every week in a low margin business like ours. That is so key to constantly be looking at that.
I think we also learned early that making sure the business grows in a nice, efficient manner to give people in our group opportunity and have things to look forward to. And also, we really like opening restaurants. So we've tried to kind of be on pace to open a restaurant every year and a half, 2 years. It usually takes 3. But that's kind of, that's our goal. You don't hit all of your goals.
That's right. You want to be aiming high.
Yeah. And then, growth-wise, I think we're going to have to adjust this one because we've been growing about 25% a year for 15, 16 straight years now.
But that's easier when the business is smaller.
It is easier when you have $1 million in sales than $25 million in sales. So we're getting to the point where in order to keep that up, we would have to start opening 2 places a year.
Right.
And we just don't have the bandwidth or the scale to do that. So I think we, stick to our, let's, try and open a spot every 18 months, 2 years. And if we aren't hitting that 25% growth target, we might have to tail back.
Well, in 2025, we had a few goals that were really on our list. And let me be honest, there are actually many more, but we're going to share a few with you. One was opening Alleluia Hall. That was a huge one. Another one is opening brunch at Alleluia Hall. And then a third one was launching Fork and Hammer. And so those were, 3 of the big goals that we had that I am so happy with that we've done it. These are huge things, and they're things that we don't have always a ton of control over. We certainly saw with launching restaurants, it takes hundreds of people to come together to create something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It is a team effort here.
It is a team effort. That goes the same for opening a new service like brunch. We are going to have to bring on new staff. Our team is going to have to adjust and make new plans. So there's a lot of reliance on others. And then I'm seeing the same thing with Fork and Hammer too. It's such a big thing. We were launching a television show, and how much of it was outside of our control.
Yeah.
Jamie doesn't like that.
No. But luckily, another team effort though.
For sure.
And everybody on the Susie Films production team just, helping us reach our goals.
Yep. And not just Susie Films, but also the people who were slotting the program out there and distributing the program and presenting the station and carrying the station and partners at PBS. It was, and the sponsors themselves too, they were all a part in creating this program.
Yeah. Why don't you talk a little bit about the process of how we create goals and how we go about it? Because I think we're talking a lot of like short-term stuff now, but really like we kind of start very, very big picture, trying to do huge, big things that are, way out in the future.
Right. Well, I think for me, I like to start with like what you don't think of as a goal, but more as like a vision. Like what is the vision? And for me, I really like to get very pictorial with it. I know you don't so much. You like to write things down, but my process is very much about collecting pictures and creating a vision board that really exemplifies where I want to go. You've done that before. But do you find you don't like that process?
No, I actually have been doing a vision board every year. So I do collect the photos and put those together. But I don't know. I think mine's a little more imaginative and not quite so much pen to paper, especially when I'm thinking about where I think one of the important things for us when we first started doing goals was thinking, where do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Starting there.
Right.
And having that vision of yourself of where do I live?
Right.
How am I living?
And so much of that is just seeing possibility for yourself. Like, okay, do you see yourself still in the little tiny shoebox apartment, where you're, barely scraping by? Is that the vision, or do you see something different?
Right. And it could be, you want to be flying private jets around and, doing whatever.
At least see it for yourself.
Yeah, then see that for yourself. And I think one of the interesting ones for us when we went back and looked at our goals of we were living in an apartment at the time, and you had on your goals to have a nice front porch, and I wanted a back porch that I could have a smoker and a grill and pizza oven and all that stuff. And then, as things come together, we get both, and
we do have both.
Yeah, that's what we have. So
yeah, that's
it all blends together. But I think starting that 10, 15 year vision, and then kind of and dreaming big too, of exactly like, what do you want? How do you want to?
There's something I say to my kids a lot, and it's that thing that you love that you see someone else doing, it's not reserved for somebody else. Whatever that is. Do you want to be a musician singing on stage? Do you want to be an actor? Do you want to be a writer? Do you want to be a billionaire? Do you want to be an inventor? Do you want to be a scientist? Do you want to be a professor? What is that thing? It's not ever reserved for someone else. Allowing yourself to see that big thing and that you can be that, I think is the first part. So I brought a little picture.
Oh, of course you did.
Of course I did. But we're not going to zoom in here, but we're going to show you. This is how I do a vision board, is like this. So I collect a bunch of pictures online. And for me, a lot of it is about, there's beautiful spaces on here. There's beautiful food on here. There's some fitness stuff on here. There's a lot of pictures with my family and loved ones on here. And I brought this one specifically because it's not new. It's from several years ago. And I brought it because I don't like to share my current vision board.
Oh, yeah.
That is not something I like to do at all. But this is from a couple years ago, so I felt okay with it. But there's one part I wanted to speak to, and it's this one part that says, our TV agent is, and then have a picture of us and it says restaurant show on it, because
That's
I
amazing.
had seen, and this was done I probably did this about 4 or 5 months before we ended up talking with Susie Films and beginning those conversations. And it's not like this happened overnight. It did not. I had this kind of idea on my vision board for years, and nothing had ever really fruited. But we finally got the right partnership, and it all kind of came together. But I have reasons why I don't want to share my vision boards. Do you know what my reason is?
No, I don't. Why don't you want to share?
I like to write this down. I keep this by my bed, that kind of thing, so I can see it. But I'm a big believer in not allowing other people around you to sow seeds of doubt.
Oh.
Don't let people sow seeds of doubt, whether it's you or, if I were to show this to somebody and somebody thinks I'm crazy about something, or they're like, just maybe even a glimmer in their face shows a little bit of doubt or uncertainty, then maybe that comes to me. I don't want to hear it. I want to make this happen, so I don't want seeds of doubt.
You do make it happen.
Well, I try to.
Yeah.
But
how about your vision board a few years ago with your drawing of being in Bon Appetit? And
Yes.
then how eerily it looked exactly like our Supperland.
That's the one
Call-out.
that's the most bizarre and wild to me. I didn't actually bring it intentionally because it is a little bit weird and wacky, but you are right. That was the weirdest one that I've ever done. I actually took an old magazine of Bon Appetit and I opened it up, and inside of it, I made my own spread. So I got 2 blank pieces of paper and I clipped out pictures of our restaurant Supperland, and I selected several dishes that were on our Supperland menu, including, I'll use this example, the pecan pie that we had launched with. So I had a picture of that, picture of Supperland on the exterior, a couple other pictures, and I created this little magazine, and I would open it up and I would see Supperland in the middle of the Bon Appetit magazine. And the weird thing that I did was I wrote the word Supperland going vertically up the side.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
is very unusual. It's not something you'd usually see it going across Supperland
I
or
was
something.
blown away when you showed me what you drew and what
I
the
drew
magazine
that,
looked like.
and then years later, that magazine came out. It was in October of 2022. Yes, 2022. I opened the magazine, and Supperland was written vertically up the side. I get chills to this day.
Yeah, just amazing.
It's amazing. So anyway,
But-
I'm a big believer in vision boards and like creating what you want to see.
And it doesn't though start. It starts with the big vision, but then you have to kind of get to the little steps to get there, right? And so creating all those little, I don't know, what do we call the little baby steps, little baby
steps.
goals. And I think the one thing too that some people forget about is there's more goals out there than just business goals. There's also, I think we have relationship goals of things that we would like and how we want our friendships to go and kids to go, and then health goals as well. We definitely include a lot of those health, workout, living, vacation. I put vacations.
You
in.
always put vacation on things.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not just totally focused on our jobs and work and what's going on in that realm.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, because I think when you're a high achieving person and you have goals, you have a vision, you might just get really caught up in productivity and, progress, getting things done, accomplish the checklists, all that kind of stuff. And there's so much joy in life in like savoring the time and the process of getting where you want to go, where, sometimes taking that time away can actually be a way to help build on your dream and your vision and your goals. And I find a lot of times, if I'm really working hard on something like a goal that I really want to have, stepping away, sometimes you're like on an airplane and you meet someone, or in a hot tub, you meet someone, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We've had that happen before. And you start to kind of start to put new pieces together. Maybe you come across, in our case, a dish at a dinner that you're like, oh, let's take inspiration from that and bring that back home. It's part of the journey. And if you can add those joyful moments in there, healthful moments in there, I think you're more nurtured to be able to bring those dreams to fruition.
And I think too, having some of those really measurable, active things where, like you're talking about Leluia Hall opening for brunch. That sounds like a little, thing for a lot of people, but it's a big commitment for us. It actually is, about a 15% more work at a restaurant and more revenue.
Yeah, I was going to say about revenue too.
But that is how we hit those other goals of hey, we're not at our revenue goal yet at Leluia Hall. We're not at our profitability goal yet at Leluia Hall. And so that's where the little step of like opening for brunch is gonna, it's gonna get us there and move us along. That's one of those. It's actually a big step, but it's one of those little stepping stones to getting to those bigger goals that we need to get to.
I think that is so true. And I think people really discount the importance of those little steps, baby steps, even like one day at a time. And, whether you look at transforming your health, that might be literally one bite at a time or one step at a time. You think it's not a big deal to go for a 20-minute walk or to choose to eat a healthy lunch that is, going to nourish your body instead of poison it or hurt it, you think it's not that big of a deal. It's just one meal. Well, sure. But over the course of the week, you might be having 21 meals. So how do you make sure all of those are kind of guiding yourself in that direction? And it's the same thing with a business, I look at Fork and Hammer making the television series is a great example. That's a different business from restaurants, but that doesn't come together unless you go and film that one thing for 3 hours, and then there's something to start from, and then you add to that, and you add to that, and you add to that. And it's the same thing with a restaurant. You think it's not a big deal, just one table, a 2-top eating at your restaurant. But that 2-top, then there's another 2-top, and then a 4-top, and then a 6-top, and they're all there, and it really matters.
Yeah, and let's talk about goals from a business perspective too. I think we can't forget how impactful, we have goals for the group and we share those goals and everybody's trying to meet them. But just like my business school professor took the time to sit down with me and help me develop my first set of goals, it has always been so powerful when our team takes our offer to sit down with them and talk about their long-term goals and dreams and how quickly some of those things just, come to fruition for them when they start dreaming big and thinking big. And it really, that puts a smile on my face when you see their lives improving and things happening for them. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because you realize they see something bigger for themselves, and we can be a part in supporting that. But truly, every individual, it is their very own responsibility and gift to be able to do something or see something different for themselves, and not just accept right where you are. But, you can be completely content and happy right where you are. And that is perfectly great. Stay where you are if that's what you want. But I think life is about growth, and it's about evolution of the soul. It's about the evolution of someone's life course. And so allowing yourself to see bigger things, and maybe it's just more joyful things or things that make you happy, that you can move toward those, and that none of those are impossible, especially if you just begin right where you are. I think a lot of people see with goals or big visions that they have, I could never get there. And start right where you are,
and start with the fun stuff, because it is fun to dream. Hey, in 15 years, I'm going to have this house, and I'm going to live here, and I'm going to do this, and this is what my life is going to be like. Start with that stuff. It's really fun.
Yes, and you don't have to be there, and it's okay if it feels far.
Yeah, and go big.
Yeah, go
Put some
big.
stuff on there that maybe is not going to happen, or maybe it will,
or maybe it will. Well, so both of us played sports, so let's jump into tennis for a minute. And
okay.
I mean, I played basketball, but either one, like the tiny things that add up to the big things. That's a big thing in tennis.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is. You can't just say, "Hey, I want to win this tournament." It is it is okay. Well, what do you need to do to win that tournament? And it is I need to play 4 times a week or 5 times a week. I need to go hit serves on twice a week or whatever it is for you personally. Or I need to adjust this or work on this weakness. And it does not happen without planning out all those little baby steps of. And it's also multifaceted. It's putting together a workout plan so you're in good enough shape, putting together a plan so you're healthy enough that you can make it through a tournament, and then working on the skills. So it's multifaceted, and it takes a lot of baby steps to get there.
I feel like I have been an eyewitness to watching the growth of tennis on our with our kids. Okay, so obviously
it's a battle.
Every child starts, hitting a tennis ball kind of like they swing and maybe they spin around in a circle and then, they end up on the ground. Do you know what I mean? And that was our beginning point.
A lot of whiffs, a lot of tossing balls at children while they whiff.
Yes, but I remember as a young mother going around, I don't so much go to their practices anymore because I'm not needed. But when they were little, we would go out to the tennis courts. And you would toss them balls, you would feed them balls, they would hit them or not hit them. And my job was to pick up said balls.
Yeah, you were really good at that.
I got real good at it. But I often thought, even at that time, I would pick up a tennis ball and put it in. I was using a shirt basket at the time. We eventually got one of those hopper things, the tube thingy, which was much better. But one ball at a time. And I think that's something that, a lot of times we lose sight of. It's truly it's you pick that one up. Now that kid hits it again. You pick up another ball and you pick up another one and you pick up another one and you just keep at it. And now, we have kids who can play tennis, and that's a gift for the rest of their life.
At least play pickleball.
Or you can always play pickleball too. But, basketball's the same.
It is. You can't just go out and shoot threes.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, you got to start with the layup, and you got to start with the right foot. You got to start being able to dribble. And
you might want to start with a YouTube video from Steph Curry.
For sure. Our alma mater, Davidson College. He followed in our footsteps.
That's right.
But so I think though, like where it reverts back to goals is just the more of those baby steps that you can lay out, and the more that you enjoy the journey, because the end goal's wonderful, but really, it is all those little steps in the process that matter.
For sure. So we've talked about 3 of the primary goals we had this past year, which was opening Leluia Hall's brunch, and then releasing Fork and Hammer. And those were really big. But looking forward into 2026, some goals that we have, mostly looking at the business overall. We're going to aim for that 10% profitability. Do you feel like that's still possible with the way labor is and all of that? Is that still a mark for us?
It is a battle every week. We don't always, food costs has put a big dent in what we're doing and labor. So we're going to keep trying to strive for it and be more efficient and add a little more revenue where we can. But yeah, I mean, that's always the goal.
That's always the goal. And then one of the big projects we have is the Leaper Wyatt project as well.
That is going to be so fun. But yes, that is a big goal, and trying to stick to a little bit better timeline there. We are on the hook with investors for that money. So time does matter a lot more now. So being efficient and timely should probably be in our goal list. So opening next year should be a big part of that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a little bit scary because there's a lot that needs to be done.
Yes, and it is a really difficult project. 1,500 square feet on each floor, an elevator, bathrooms,
and it's
stairwells,
4 floors.
4 floors, moving food around, only having 30 people on each floor, and then the other battle is just construction costs are getting so high. We're having to be creative and thoughtful, and there's a lot of metrics that go with those construction costs of whatever we spend, we have to offset with the amount of revenue that we're going to be able to make for that project. So it is, it puts a lot of pressure on the design and how thoughtful we are with coming up with that project.
So you've made me think about something, which is the word obstacle. I think anytime you have a
There's
goal,
no obstacle in my goals.
well, but that's what's interesting. I think a lot of people, I'm like this too, where you're trying to make something big happen, a big goal happen. You've got this vision, but there are blockades, there are obstacles in the way, and so there's some really powerful works out there that talk about this issue, but I like to just whisper in my head, when I have those obstacles that pop up, and maybe it's like construction costs, for instance, or the challenges we have with the Leaper Wyatt being 4 stories and all of that, is that those obstacles are actually there to help you. You think that they're there to stop you and to be like, oh, I can't do it, because you're going to turn away and go back the other way. But don't be fooled, because truly those things are there to make you better at what you do and to make the end project better. Do you know what I mean? Menu development is a great example. How many obstacles do we run into with menu development?
Every day. There's and the things that people get caught up on. Everybody gets caught up on different things when you're designing, trying to create a restaurant, and you can't. You need to kind of stick to the big picture and get that done. But I would say now is the time. You always start beating me up around Thanksgiving when we're on a road trip to go see family, of getting goals together. And I think it is a great time to make sure you have it ready for the holidays. So when your wife asks you about your goals, don't go and grab your bottle of bourbon and go to your happy place. Just accept it and start working on the goals for next year. And
and know that
it actually, I think we have fun now doing our goals and doing them together. And at least I've come to enjoy it.
you've come to the dark side.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and know that along that way, there will be difficulties, there will be challenges, but they're there to help you. I think, I got real caught up when I couldn't find a flower vase for the centerpieces of Alleluia Hall, which sounds so silly. I searched for months for those, but that process ended up leading us to a place where we are creating our own flower vases for the space.
Yeah, we just needed to have a wood shop so that you can have whatever you want on demand.
That's right. And that ended up making things so much better. So, good
Goals.
luck to everybody
Let's
out
do it.
there with their goals. We would love to hear from you. Like, comment, share. Feel free to share your goals with us. You can follow us here on YouTube, on Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. And we look forward to talking with you next time.